Alright, we've seen how we can measure how far something moves, how long it takes to move, the time it takes usually, and we've seen how we can graph it. Now, I want you to be a storyteller. In other words, you should be able to tell me what the graph is showing you. And we have practice of that in class. I gave you some group work where we all tried to match up what the graph was with the story that was related to it. And I hope you can do that because it's really a good skill to have. Okay, so let's look at some basics that would help us with that. Remembering that all we've got here on this horizontal timeline, that is where we're standing, if you like, because we have a big 0 in this corner, which means it's 0 distance away. So you've got to imagine you are watching something move. As it goes this way, it's moving away from you. As it goes this way, it's coming back to you. So it's getting closer. So further away, closer. And that's the key. Alright, so let's have a look at this little story. We've got 4 boys. Andrew, David, Brian and Chris. And they're all moving. Now, because they start off further, they end up further away than where they started. They all start off here next to me. By starting off at 0, they're next to me. Right? So, Chris, Brian, David and Andrew all move away from me. The person who moves away the least amount is Chris. I can tell he's closer because he's got a slower angle. He moves slower and doesn't get as far as Brian, David or Andrew. Brian, is the next furthest away. You can see he's moved a bit faster. David has moved a bit faster still, and Andrew was the fastest. If this was a race we were talking about, then Andrew would beat David, Brian and Chris. And we could, if we liked, measure it off the graph and see how far they've gone, and we know the time, so we could work out their speed. So sometimes we have to measure from the graph when it's got numbers on it. So that's really important. Now, the fact they've all got straight lines here tells me they have all moved at a steady speed. In other words, their speed has not changed. They've moved at, sometimes in science we call it a constant speed. Right, if you say steady speed, I will mark it correct. If you go constant speed, I will make it correct also. So here's how we can use some information. Now, here is a total different thing that these boys have done. Now we can see here, let's go to the basics. Look at Andrew. Andrew has started off with a 0 point. So Andrew was standing next to me when he started. Then he moved away from me. And he ended up the furthest away. Okay, I hope you can see that. Right. Brian didn't start off next to me. He was this far away from me, here. That number of metres away from me when he started. And then he slowly moved away. Now, both of these have got straight lines, or actually all of them have got straight lines. So that means there is a constant speed going on. Right? Then look at David. David was this far away when he started. So he wasn't starting next to me, but he was further away from me when he started, and then he got further away still. Now he wasn't travelling that fast because look at the angle. It's not very steep at all, that line. Andrew's is really steep. Brian's is steeper than David's, and David is not very steep at all. Now the tricky one is Chris. The purple line we see started off right up here. So Chris did not start off next to me. He was the furthest away from me at the start. And as we can see, he's got a straight line, but it's coming closer. So Chris was actually walking back towards me, or moving back towards me. And he was moving again with a steady speed. Oh goodness, so much to do, so much to understand. But it's not that hard. Now, here is where it gets more difficult. When we have not straight lines anymore, but a curve. And this tells me we're changing how fast we are moving. In other words, we're changing our speed. And as we're going to see later on, we have a special name called accelerate for that. Now in this case, when a graph looks like this person starts off not travelling a big distance in time, so they're travelling slowly. Then they get faster, 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 faster. Right? But they're moving away from me. So they slowly move away and then get faster as they move away. That would be the story. Over here on this one, it's slightly the opposite. We're moving towards me now, and they slowly move towards me and then quicken up as they come near the end. Right, I hope that helps you, and I'm sure you'll be able to tell me the answer to the story when I give you a graph.